Hi, this is Julie, and I'm going to demonstrate writing a program with if statements. So I'm going to write a program where we're calculating the price of tickets based on someone's age. So I'm going to start out with a pretty simple problem, and then we'll add a few things as we go. So to calculate my ticket price, I need to find out the age from the user and how many tickets they want to buy. So I need a couple of different variables here. First of all, for their age, I'm going to use an integer because ages really aren't fractional numbers. And also, I'm going to ask the user for the quantity of tickets that they want to purchase. Again, this works well as an integer. And then I'm going to determine the price of each ticket and then the total of all the tickets. So for the money part, I'm going to use doubles because we can be working with dollars and cents when we work with money. So I'll create a variable called price, and I'll create a variable called total. So I have all of my variables up at the top of my program where it's easy to find them. I want to get the age and the quantity from the user, so I'm going to ask them for those numbers. And before I get the input, it's good to have a prompt telling them what I'm looking for. So with a cout statement, I'm going to enter the prompt, enter age and quantity of tickets. Something like that, where I'm telling them there's two things that I want. I want an age and I want a quantity. I'm going to follow that up with a cin statement to get the age and the quantity. And so with cout, the arrows point to the point in the direction that the data is moving towards cout, and on cin, where we're getting data into the variables, the arrows point to the variables. So now let's build our if statement. If someone's age is greater than or equal to 65, I'm going to give them a special price of $8. So I'm going to say if age, and in parentheses after the if statement, I'm going to put some type of expression that's going to evaluate to either true or false. In this case, I want to compare age to the number 65. And if age is greater than or equal to 65, then I'm going to set the price to $8. Otherwise, and that's else, I'm going to set the price to $10. So when this program executes, if somebody's age is 65 or greater, we'll set the price to 8. We'll execute line 16. But if the age was under 65, we'll never execute line 16. We'll execute line 18 instead. And now I'm going to do my calculations. I'll scroll this up a little bit here. And I'm going to say total equals quantity times price. And now I'm going to display my output. First, I'll show them the individual price of the ticket. And then I'm going to show the total. All right. Now, when we write a program like this, we have two scenarios that can happen, and we want to test each scenario. So I need to run this program more than one time. I need to run it for people whose age is over 65, and also run it for people whose age is less than 65. So I'm going to go ahead and compile and do my first test case. All right, and there's my prompt. Enter your age and quantity of tickets. And so I'm going to enter 25, and I want 5 tickets. All right, and what I see there is the individual ticket price is $10, and I'm going to owe a total of $50. I also need to test someone who's 65 or older, so I'm going to rerun that program. And I'm going to put in here, say 67, and I want 2 tickets. That's going to be tickets at a price of $8 each for a total of $16. So it looks like this is working really well. Now, if I want to enhance my if statement, and maybe I want to do more than one thing if it's true, and more than one thing if it's not, I'm going to need to put my code in a code block. So I'm going to put in opening curly brace, and Visual Studio tries to help me out by typing an ending curly brace right there, and then I could type in code inside it if I wanted, but I already have some code, so I'm going to delete that last one there. And after the price equals 8, I'm going to press enter. And I'm going to put a message out on the screen. And I'm going to say senior price. Now, right now, Visual Studio has underlined the word else in red because I don't have something right in here. It says expected a statement, which is a very vague error. Well, what really is the problem is that I have this opening curly brace on line 15 and no closing curly brace. And these are the same braces that we enclose the main function in. So we can have different levels of these braces, but they do need to have opening and closing braces. And actually, if I were to click on this one right here on line 15, it's going to highlight the closing brace that's matched to it. And it thinks the one at the very end of the program on line 28 is the matching one. That can help me find when I have a situation where I have one that's missing another one. So I'm going to add one here to between line 17 and 18, I'll just press enter at the end of 17 and put the closing brace. Now Visual Studio is much happier. Now if I want, I can put the else on the same line. That's perfectly acceptable. Some people will put it on the next line. And I think that's what Visual Studio wants to do by default. But either's fine and the compiler doesn't care. Let's also put a code block around price equals 10 so we can add another statement. So again, I have 2 right there. I'm going to delete the second one. And if I want to go ahead and put it in here before I forget, that can be a good habit too. Go ahead and type it right there. And you can see when I typed the matching one, it pushed the else down to line 19 by itself because that's the default formatting for Visual Studio. And so that's fine. Whether 18 and 19 are on the same line or not, it's really not important. But now I can put another statement after price, and I'm going to put in here cout regular price. So now when I run this program, based on the age, I'm going to calculate a price and I'm going to display a label describing what that price is. So now let's go ahead and compile and test this program. And so I am going to calculate this for someone who's 15 and they want 3 tickets. They're going to buy tickets at the regular price of $10 for a total of $30. That looks good. Let's go ahead and test the other scenario, the senior pricing. And this time I'm going to test it for someone who's exactly 65 years old. And I only want 1 ticket. So I can see now I'm getting the output of senior price of $8 and my total's $8. So now what we have is we have an if-else statement. The condition we're testing is age greater than or equal to 65. If that's true, then we'll execute lines 16 and 17, or we could call it the code block that begins at the end of line 15. I could highlight that by click on one part of that code block at the end of line 15, and it will highlight the one that ends on line 18. It also is having a little tiny tooltip pop up to tell me what it goes with, the if statement. And I could highlight the other one down here by the else. If I go to the bottom one, a little tooltip pops up to tell me that that is going with the else. So that looks good, but maybe I want to add a third pricing level. I want to add a special price for child. So we're going to say a child is anyone under the age of 10. And I can expand my if-else statement to have another condition in the middle. And so at the end of line 18, I'm going to press enter to put a blank line here. And I'm going to say else if. So it's an else and then it's an if. I'm combining two things in a way here. And then I have to put a condition. My condition is this time is going to be age is less than 10. And if my age is less than 10, then I want to execute this code block. So this time I went ahead and kept the closing curly brace because I haven't typed any code for this yet. And now I'm going to type the code that's going to happen for anyone who's under the age of 10. We're going to offer tickets at a price of $5. And I'm going to display a message that this is the child price. Okay, so now I have 3 conditions, or not 3 conditions, but rather 3 branches that I can execute. I'm checking 2 different conditions, and so I'm going to execute exactly one of these branches. Now, if the person's age is over 65, I'm never even going to look at that code on line 19. I'll never compare the age to 10. In fact, I will never execute any of the lines from line 19 all the way through 26 if that first condition is true. So depending on when we find a matching condition, that will determine which branch we're going to execute. I'm going to go ahead and test this version of the program. Let's start out by testing for a child. I have a 5-year-old and I have 2 of them. The price of each ticket is $5 for a total of 10. That looks good. And I could go and test the others again if I wanted. Don't expect to have any problems here because I don't think I did anything to break that part of the program, but it is good to make sure. And I'm going to have a 99-year-old, and I have 3 of them. That's $8 each for a total of $24. All right, now I'm going to add another thing to my if statement. I have decided if somebody is a special age, then I'm going to give them a special price. And so I could have this as an additional else if, but I'm actually going to put it inside my age greater than 65. So I'm going to say here that if their age was exactly equal to 100, I'm going to use the double equal sign for equivalence. Then I'm going to give them a special price. Price equals 1, C out, special price. Else, put the rest of that in there. And so this age 100 could have been separated, but I wanted to nest it in here so you could see what happens with the nested if statement. I'm only going to look at whether the age is 100 if I have someone who is age 65 and older. And then I'm going to execute the second if statement here. So let's try this program. Well, I'm going to put in at age 100, and I have 3 people. I'm getting a special price of $1 for a total of $3. All right, and now I'm going to just enhance a couple of other things in this program just to go ahead and practice some other things. And what I want to do is I want to calculate sales tax on these tickets. So I need some more variables. I'm going to come up here to the top of the program. And the first thing I'm going to add up here is a named constant for the sales tax rate. I'm going to call it tax rate. And because it's a named constant, by convention, I'm going to name it in all uppercase letters, so that when I see it in my code, it's going to stand out to me. And then I'm going to set its value to 0.0825 for 8.25% sales tax. All right, I think the other variables that I have will work for this. And the other thing that I'm going to do is once I start calculating sales tax, my prices may have more than 2 decimal places. So I want to modify how my decimal data is displayed. So I need the IOmanip library. I'm going to come up here under IOstream and I'm going to add that additional library so that I can manipulate or set the number of decimal places for my output. All right, so back down here where I was doing my calculations, I need to add an additional calculation for the sales tax. So total is not just going to be quantity times price, but it's going to be quantity times price plus the sales tax. And the way I'm going to calculate the sales tax is quantity times price times tax rate. And so I'm going to add the base price, quantity times price, to the sales tax, which is taking the base and multiplying it times the tax rate. Now in this situation with order of operations or precedence, I don't have to add parentheses here, but it does add clarity to what I'm doing. And I don't have to worry about whether I'm interpreting or remembering the precedence order correctly. It's very clear that I want to do this multiplication before I want to do the addition. So that's going to change my quantity calculation, or my total calculation. Now, when I go to display output, before I display any output, I need to send a couple of messages to the cout object, and I'm going to say that I want to use fixed notation, and to show 2 decimal places, I'm going to say set precision 2. Now if I put set precision 2 without a fixed, then it's just going to try to print a total of 2 decimal places, or sorry, a total of 2 numbers, 2 digits, but I want those 2 digits to be after the decimal place, so I have to combine it with fixed. So what I have changed in the program now is I have added a sales tax calculation, and I am displaying the output with 2 decimal digits. So let's test the program. So first I'm going to test a senior citizen. Let's say 68, and we want to get 5 tickets. It's $8 a ticket. 8 times 5 is 40. I'm displaying a total of 43.30, so that sounds about right. And I could get out my calculator and I could verify that. But it looks correct. Let's run it again for, say, a child price. So I'm going to put that I have 4 7-year-olds. Each of the tickets are going to be $5. 4 times 5 is 20. 21.65 looks like about the correct amount with sales tax. Now, if we wanted to take this program up to a whole nother level, it would be nice to put this whole thing in a loop and then get different quantities of different price ranges and things like that. But since we haven't seen loops yet, we'll just leave it like this. But what we have added to our programs, instead of just going from top to bottom, line by line, now the program is going to branch to different locations based on a condition.